Imagine being hailed as the female Tiger Woods at 14, making millions in endorsements, getting invitations to play with the men, and being in magazine covers before even graduating from high school. Michelle Wie wasn't just a prodigy, she was a global phenomenon. And for a moment, it looked like she might actually live up to the hype. But then, at just 32, she walked away from the game. This isn't the story of someone who didn't try. It might just be the story of someone who was handed too much, too soon, too much pressure, too much hype, too many expectations. Could that crushing weight of being golf's next icon be what broke her down? Let's find out. Michelle Sung Wie was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, in 1989. Her parents were both educators. Her father, a professor of transportation management, and her mother, a former South Korean golf champion. So golf was in her blood. But no one could have predicted what would come next. At 10, she shot a 64 in a tournament, the lowest round ever by a female her age. At 12, she became the youngest player to qualify for an LPGA event. At 13, she made the cut at the US Women's Open. By 14, she wasn't just playing with grown men, she was nearly beating them. In the 2004 Sony Open in Hawaii, a PGA Tour event, she missed the cut by a single stroke. She was 6 feet 1 inch with a smooth, powerful swing. She looked built for modern golf, and all the limelight was on her. That attracted sponsors. Nike and Sony reportedly signed her to endorsement deals worth $10 million per year, and this was before she even turned pro. She was destined to become the Tiger Woods of the women's game, but that dream would come at a cost. In 2005, at just 15, Michelle Wie turned pro. The announcement was global news. It was rare, bold, and exciting. But her team, which was guided mostly by her parents, made one very controversial choice. Instead of focusing on LPGA events and building a dominant women's career, Michelle began competing in men's tournaments. By the end of 2006, Michelle Wie had entered roughly 12 men's professional events, more than any other female in history, but missed the cut in 11 of them. While fans admired the ambition, they also questioned the strategy. Why chase validation in the men's game before proving your dominance in the women's? Even Annika Sorenstam, who was already a 10-time major champion, only tested the waters in a single men's PGA event in 2003 before returning full-time to the LPGA. Michelle, meanwhile, was stuck trying to prove she belonged somewhere she didn't need to. Michelle's use of sponsor exemptions also started becoming an annoyance for other players. While many young players fought their way through qualifiers, Michelle was regularly granted spots in both PGA and LPGA events, often at the expense of older and more experienced pros. Critics argued that her presence was more due to her ability to draw media attention and boost TV viewership than because of her performance. Tournament organizers knew that putting Michelle Wie in the field meant more eyeballs on broadcasts, more headlines, and more tickets sold. Adding to the growing controversy was the caddy turnover. In 2006, Michelle fired longtime caddy Greg Johnston through her agent without even telling him directly. That moment made headlines and marked the beginning of what would become a pattern. Over the next few years, she went through multiple caddies. From her own father, to short-term stand-ins, to seasoned tour veterans who rarely lasted more than a few months. Some left due to injuries. Others, allegedly, due to rising tensions. With each change, one thing became increasingly clear. Things weren't stable behind the scenes. The pressure was building. Michelle Wie was never afraid of the spotlight, but the constant travel, media obligations, and weight of becoming golf's chosen one took a toll. Between 2007 and 2010, her game became inconsistent. Injury after injury, wrist, back, ankle, turned golf into survival. She later revealed that at one point, she was playing in pain every single day and taking way too many painkillers. Her swing, once fluid and powerful, became mechanical as she tried to adjust for injury after injury. At times, she'd withdraw mid-round. Other times, she'd play through visible pain just to stay in contention. Even when she finally tasted victory, it came with caveats. In 2014, Michelle Wie won the U.S. Women's Open at Pinehurst, her first major win. You would think that this would be her turning point. She had matured, adjusted her swing, and looked like the version of Michelle everyone had waited for. But it turned out to be more of a peak than a launch pad. She struggled to maintain form, often forced to take long breaks from golf due to recurring injuries. In 2018, she won her fifth and final LPGA title. Sadly, just a year later, the pain came back. She missed most of 2019 and 20, and in 2022, she quietly announced she'd step away from the game for good, playing just one last U.S. Women's Open as a farewell. She was 32. So what exactly went wrong? Some blame the undue hype. Some blame the decision to chase men's events too early. Others have pointed out that it may have been the physical toll of a swing that was too explosive for a still-developing body. But it wasn't just one thing. There was instability everywhere. The exemptions, the constant caddy changes, the relentless media circus that turned every tournament into a spectacle. Maybe the tragedy isn't in a single choice or injury. Maybe it's in what we expected from her. Michelle Wie was still a teenager when the world expected her to be a global icon. She carried the weight of sponsors, the media, and an entire sport before she was even old enough to vote. And for a moment, she almost pulled it off. But when things didn't go perfectly, when injuries hit, when the wins didn't come, she wasn't seen as a young woman finding her way. She was seen as a letdown. Since stepping away from professional golf, Michelle Wie has found a new voice. She's now a mother, an activist, and a broadcaster. She has used her platform to advocate for women's rights, racial equity, and greater visibility in golf. So in many ways, she's still a trailblazer, just not in the way we expected her to be. It's true that she never got the kind of career fans had imagined for her, but she still left a mark on golf no one can erase. Maybe the real tragedy isn't that Michelle Wie didn't become the next Tiger Woods. Maybe it's that we put her on a pedestal so high she was destined to fall.